How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to mention something I briefly talked about in one of my previous videos where I mentioned that my net worth still gained even with all this market turmoil. This video is brought to you by Webull. If you heard me talk about this before, now is probably the chance to jump on this and sign up for Webull. It doesn't cost you a thing. This is a free trading app. You'll automatically get one free stock. You get free trades. If you deposit $100 or more, you get another free stock. If you sign up for this thing, I would really appreciate it, and you would really help out this channel. So in one of my previous videos, I briefly mentioned that my net worth still went up, even though the market went down a lot. Some of you really wondered how the heck I achieved such a thing, because most people's portfolio is down by a lot. So in my previous videos, whenever I talk about income streams, net worth, and things like that, I started coming off as more braggy, and I apologize for this because it's really hard to make a video where you make some sort of content that you think other people want to watch, and you are trying to grab headlines, right? You're trying to grab attention. So sometimes you have to say things or like put on a title saying, oh yeah, you know, I did this, and it is something extraordinary. And then when you talk about something extraordinary, it's hard to not come off as braggy. So I want to break it down for you guys so that maybe in the future, you guys can also duplicate the same thing yourself. I attribute to my net worth gains to a couple of main things. One of the core things is, of course, equities going down. It went down by 30–40%, and depending on what you're holding, if you're holding on something really risky, it might have went down like 80% if you hold on to like airline stock. So I thought long and hard about this, and I did not time it perfectly. I did not sell everything right at the beginning and then bought everything right at the bottom. We don't know if it's even the bottom yet, but I did sell somewhere between like on the third week of February, and I went back to think about this, and I was wondering, how come I knew how to do this? Why did I suddenly just sell everything? Because I thought the risk level was too high. There's too much risk versus the small kind of reward that I could have gotten if I just held on. Maybe it would just keep on going up, right? So I thought the risk just dramatically increased due to that infection stuff over in China, even though the third week of February, it didn't really come over to the US just yet. You see like very few cases, and you know, most people thought, oh, nothing is gonna happen because we're gonna have it contained. But then I think the main part about this was I saw what happened following the news over in China, and I see that whatever came over to the US is pretty much, you know, at a certain point I thought, oh my gosh, this is unstoppable. We basically can't stop it, and it's coming. Why is it that the stock market did not react yet? I made a video back in February 14th saying, and I roughly quote myself here, is that I did not understand why the stock market did not do a huge plummet yet. And after I made that video, and I did not sell any of my equities at that point yet, I was kind of contemplating to myself, just kind of speaking out loud. So if you guys watched that video back then, I'm sure if you watch every single one of my videos, you probably sort of got like a little warning to yourself, and then roughly 4 to 7 days afterwards, I finally pulled the trigger and I sold some of my stocks. Now, I have to say, I did not hold a lot of equities at that point. I wasn't even that much in, and I've pretty much been in cash for quite a long time, more than a year. And you can say that, oh, you know, if you were in cash, then you probably didn't make all that much money because, you know, you missed out on a lot of gains all along the way. But my reasoning for all this is, yeah, I miss out on a lot of volatility. I miss out on the gains because I valued stability more. I was extremely stable in terms of the amount of equities I'm holding, how much cash I'm holding. I'm being super duper conservative, and I would say my portfolio looks more like a retired person, you know, that's like 65 or something, rather than, you know, someone my age. So eventually I sold everything. At one point I was all in cash. It was all cash. I held no gold equities, ETFs. I held no stocks. I held no bonds. It was basically cash, cash in my equities account, in my savings account, everything was pure cash. And then as the equities dropped down, it dropped down like 10, 15%. I guess I got a little bit greedy and then I'm like, oh, this is time to buy. So my whole theory back then was I'm gonna buy in steps, right? And then as it plummeted towards like minus 30%, I kept on buying more and more. And the first buy obviously, loses money, but then my last buy during the dip is in the green right now. And when it goes down 30% and it comes back 15%, I am roughly break even right now in terms of pure equities. If you look at, that portion of my net worth, I am basically break even right now. But you gotta look at everything else. Now, the purpose of this video is really to help you guys think for yourself during the next market downturn, or maybe, whatever is coming up in the near future, if it's gonna drop down even more. I attribute to my sell to me having more time, being not in the workforce and sort of being semi-retired. I have a lot of time to do research. So I read a lot of financial news every single day. I read a lot of stuff, when things pop up like the virus stuff, it becomes bigger and a bigger of a problem, and then I assess the risk. And I would attribute my sale directly to me doing so much research, so much reading every single day. And so you guys being subscribed to this channel, if you just watch my videos, you're kind of getting a gist of all that time I spent doing the research. It's not actually that popular. I think it has about 20,000 views on it. So not many people saw it. Not like the ones where I say, oh, what stocks am I buying right now? That was a bit more popular. But that one where I wore the mask and like the glasses and stuff, I'm like, okay, how should you invest in it going forward? So I feel like if you watch this channel, you might have done the same thing. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if you watched that particular video and if you sold some stock because of it, or like reacted differently soon after, like I did on my personal portfolio. Now with my equities sort of on par, how come my net worth still went up? Well, one contribution, this is not a significant contribution, which is the supply of houses that are being sold is less than the reduction in the demand. All these people are locked up in their homes, right? They're not going out to buy houses as much. However, people putting their homes out for sale is even less. That's why the housing prices goes up, because law of supply demand. The price increase because of this imbalance here. So that accounts for a little bit of my net worth increase. What still increased it even more is because my burn rate is extremely, extremely low. I talked about canceling my car insurance, and some people are like, oh my gosh, your insurance is gonna go up because there's gonna be a lapse. Maybe I'm gonna get fined or something. Well, I tend to do things a little bit crazy here. I like to figure out what will actually happen. Even if I get fined a little bit later on, I can tell you guys about it. Oh, don't cancel your insurance in California because it's gonna increase. And I am getting quotes day by day, and I can see that it increased a little bit, So we'll find out about this later on. But I did minimize my expenses, and if you look at how much I spend every month, it's close to about $1,200. And I certainly earn more than $1,200 from YouTube, from my dividends, from my savings and stuff. So I am net positive over here, just by default. I don't even have to think about it. So as long as the stock market stays flat, based on how much gains I made, how much losses, and the housing prices goes up, and the actual cash flow is very, very positive for me. It's always very, very positive. I'm just making sure there's a positive cash flow, so it's kind of like you're just pouring water into a bucket, and even if you have a few minor leaks, it's still going to get filled up, right? So this is kind of an equivalent for net worth. Just keep on making sure that you are earning money. I know earning money might seem sort of insignificant based on how much investment gains or losses that you make. Sometimes investment gains can be enormous. Let's say you make a lot, and then whatever you earn is a lot less than that. But I think you still need to keep up a kind of like a cash flow positive stream, even if you're working and you're making very little compared to your investment gains. Sometimes your working money becomes significant, other times your investment money is not as significant. So it's, just keep them all so that you have, all of this pushes your net worth up and up. So a quick word about a few stocks out there and my thoughts about it, because, this is about investing after all. And right now I am about 78% in, about 22% in cash right now. I bought a little bit more. The last thing I bought was AT&T, collecting a huge dividend on that. I don't know if it's gonna go down even more, but I figure you guys might be interested. In my brokerage account, I hold AT&T, IRM, BAC. Those are the significant ones, and I also hold a significant amount of IXC, the energy ETF, global ETF. Right now, all of that is roughly break even. I want to speak a little bit about airlines. Warren Buffett sold all his airlines, and I want to say that sometimes when he sells stuff, you might be a little bit skeptical of what he's doing. Did he sell that so that he wants to push all the airlines down so that he would come back and buy it for even cheaper? Or I don't know if he's gonna do that or not, but generally from my experience of reading the news on what he actually does in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio management is whatever he does, it's not like trickery. I feel like it's very straightforward. If he's selling it, he really does believe that it's probably a really bad idea long term. And I think it's the same as well. You see the news, all these airlines, they're like laying off people, they're reducing their fleet, and they're saying that they're gonna come out of this as a smaller airline. And what that means is they're gonna have a smaller amount of profit when all this disappears. So smaller airlines, smaller profit means lower share price. So this is going to be like a permanent reduction in share price going forward. If you're thinking about buying airlines just because, oh, it's so cheap now compared to like a couple months ago, is because the current valuation is really low, and going forward, it doesn't look like it's going to go up all that fast. So if you buy into this, it's going to be a treacherous couple years before, it's going to inch up. Maybe it's going to even do worse. So when you put money into this, it's more like you're not going to get gains on it very fast. And most of the time, people like to feel good about their investments, right? If you put money in, you want to see it pop right away, and you want to see it kind of inch up a little bit every single day. But for airlines, it's gonna trade sideways for a really long time. It looks like if you put money in, it's just gonna be dead money. Kind of like putting money into somewhere, a bank account or something, and you collect 0% interest. When you do investment, hopefully you want things to happen a little bit faster, right? Especially with airlines, when you can clearly see that they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. They already laid off staff. They're grounding the airplanes. This is going to last for a very long time, and that's all I have to say about that. Same thing with cruise lines. With airlines and cruise lines, there's always like this probability in my head, and I would say it's a high certainty, pretty high, that they're just going to trickle around, just trade sideways or whatnot. So I did think about buying into Carnival. I just kind of eyeing it and stuff, thinking about buying Delta or United. I ultimately decided to not immediately invest in airlines or cruise lines, just yet. Maybe wait a month and then I'm gonna reevaluate them again. So definitely right now, I don't have any of those stocks right now. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give me a like and check out my Webull referral link down in the video description below. It will help me out greatly. And as always, push that subscribe button and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.